Ano ang FoPo?
Okay, ang ibig sabihin kasi ng FoPo is food powder. Concept namin is, since nag-aaral ako ng Masters in Food Innovation and Product Design at that time, yung pinag-aaralan namin is everything from farm to fork, from agriculture up to selling, consumption, tsaka what you do after you sell, mga waste. At that time, we saw this competition, student competition from Thought for Food Challenge. Yung challenge kasi niya is how to feed 9 billion people by 2050. Tapos, ang ginawa ko, like, I pulled up my team, I created a team, classmates. Classmates lang talaga, as in, since student competition siya, ang goal lang talaga namin is to win and to earn money. Why FoPo? Why food powder? Question namin is, instead of producing and manufacturing more and more food, why don't we just focus on the food that's being wasted? It's just the basic science of why food are being wasted. It's because of the increase in microbial activities. And microbial growth happens when there's a lot of water activity dun sa food, like water content. Kung mas mataas yung water content niya, like fresh fruits or something, mas magmumultiply yung microbes or other like molds and stuff. Pero if we dehydrate it, and that's what we've been doing naman na ever since, dehydrating food, then maybe we can stop the microbial growth and still preserve the food for longer. So, yun. One of the two ways that food are being wasted is because, one, they get spoiled, and second is because they look ugly. So, on that side naman na they look ugly, we looked at groceries, all these distribution channels, and malaking chunk ng waste also comes from those cosmetic requirements from government at dun sa mga exporters dahil nga they need to fit a particular size, color, or shape to be able to be exported into another country.
Ano yung main difference niya sa like preserved foods?
Actually, wala siya masyadong difference except that we want to highlight or utilize the food that are still being wasted even after. For example, at that time, nung naghanap kami ng food waste sources here in Europe, sa Germany, we talked with the biggest importer of bananas from South America. Tapos, 20 tons of bananas are being wasted every week. It's all because of the regulatory requirements na kailangan niya maging color green lahat pagdating ng shipment. So kapag may isang banana na yellow na, they will be sorted out and then they will be used for other purposes like for energy, like for biomass or energy extraction na. So hindi na siya napakinabangan. And that's really a shame and a waste kasi we can still utilize. There's still a lot of nutrients that we can first extract before they're being wasted. But they're not given that chance kasi nga dun sa regulation. So marami yan. There's that part. And then we also went to Kenya and we saw there's different sizes naman ng mangoes na kailangan mag-fit sila doon sa requirement. If they're too big or too small, they're not really being shipped outside. And they also ship string beans to Europe. Normally, they don't really eat string beans as a country. They just produce it. So, yung mga rejects, hindi na talaga nila napapakinabangan for domestic consumption kasi hindi naman innate sa kanila kumain ng mga beans.
So basically, making food production more efficient, like yung waste ginagawang for consumption ulit.
Yes. If we look at the waste hierarchy, at least the best way to approach yung wastage sa food is still use it as food as much as possible. And then, if not, then we can potentially extract the materials like minerals, vitamins na pwede natin ma-extract and then for other production purposes and then ultimately for energy.
Nagkaroon ba kayo ng parang computation or kung like ilang percent yung nadadagdag or nababalik sa food consumption? Like for example, 100% yung normal, ilang percent yung nababalik?
Not sure because iba-iba siya eh. Depends on the source, depends on the country. Developing countries have more wastage sa production, logistics part, and storage part. Sa developed countries naman, mas maraming wastage on the latter part from retailer up until consumption. Doon na pupunta yung waste. It depends, and it also depends on the type of the product that we're talking about. Kung fruits and vegetables ba yan, or meat,
Ano bang naging focus?
Yes. So the idea for us is instead of throwing away all these wasted fruits and vegetables, why not collect them, dry them, turn them into powder so we can extend its shelf life from 2 weeks to 2 years while saving nutrition by up to 90%. In terms of flavors, meron kaming, at that time, we have up to 7 flavors actually. Avocado, olives, pineapple, banana. Actually, meron pa nga kaming durian. Tinest lang yan for R&D. Tapos different types of apples.
Nagkaroon ng meat flavor? Fish? Chicken?
No, but it's possible.
Cheap ba yung price? Or like, kung ako, bibilhin ko ba yung FoPo kaysa Chicken Joy or whatever?
The idea for us is to be used as, it's either for B2C or B2B. So, pwedeng sa end consumers to use it as topping or flavoring for food or can be used for smoothies.
So, cheaper alternative siya for like, yung fruit mismo?
It will be the same. It's at par. Like for example, buying avocado. Here, I'm basing it in, depends on the market. Pero kung here, parang same lang siya, but you have the avocado for longer period of time.
Okay, so ang inisip ko kasi hunger and like food yung main na tinatakil, pero it seems food waste yung main na tinatakil. Tama ba?
Yes. So the idea is to solve food waste by using those food that are about to be wasted, convert them into food na you can use. Tapos, yung hunger angle naman, kasi since it's dehydrated, we can also use it for humanitarian purposes since it's easy to open, easy to use, easy to distribute. We did some testing din. Di namin tinuloy yung ganong angle since we're working on another side. Pero it's possible. Like we used it for like feeding day sa Pilipinas.
Naging operational ba siya like for selling or for giving?
So we got investors, German investors, 2016. Then we got more angel investors. Tapos they helped us in funding the operations in Israel, in the Philippines, tsaka sa some trials sa Kenya.
As in like packaged food siya, like binabenta sa grocery, sa supermarket?
Yes. So we got 10 retail stores sa Germany. Talaga actual selling. Nandun ako like doing taste testing, talking to German customers. Tapos understanding what they want. And then eventually we went online. We partnered with HelloFresh to distribute it para mas madali.
So, bakit ako bibili?
Again, there's two angles here. Yung B2C target market, mainly for people who are vegan or having some certain diets na interested silang gumamit ng food that also saves food from being wasted. So may ethical part din. And then we are also angling it as a B2B product, as an ingredient. So we have some testings to use FoPo as an ingredient for chocolates. We have some chocolates actually made using FoPo powders, tapos drinks and other products, and tortilla chips. So there's that angle na we don't just sell it to end consumers.
Ano bang angle na like Nor Cubes siya or like very cheap ulam for like people with less money?
Hindi yun yung main target market namin for now. And it's also because we need scale to be able to make prices lower. And to reach that amount of scale, kailangan namin maghanap ng concentrated supply na about to be wasted that we can buy for cheaper. Yung waste kasi, it's in different parts. May logistical concerns and then may timing concerns and then the quality. So we need to do it when it's available.
Nasaan ba yung manufacturing place niyo or plant? Paano siya ginagawa?
The technology is already there, out in the market. What we're just changing is yung inputs. We're getting the inputs from most wasted sources. Yung technology, we use freeze drying tsaka spray drying. Depende sa country. Kasi wala kaming nahanap na freeze drying sa Pilipinas.
So hindi lang isa yung plant nyo or yung manufacturing place nyo per country?
Per country kasi
Okay,
critical yung time.
Madali ba yung setup? Madali bang kuhanin yung equipment?
No, we partner with them. So we don't really own the equipment.
For profit ba yung goal or like more of an advocacy or something?
What's the difference? Definitely for profit siya, since you also want to pay back the farmers who can't sell their almost wasted fruits. So parang binibili din namin siya but for a cheaper price instead of it being wasted. For example, sa calamansi production. Oh, may calamansi nga pala kami sa Laguna. At nung nag-trial kami, like binili din namin yan but for a way cheaper price. I mean, it has to be a profitable business since we also need to support the livelihood of the farmers.
So win-win siya, like supporting more suppliers and then giving more value to the consumers.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so okay lang ba magpunta sa personal questions like nagmatter ba or important ba yung science education? I know naman na you're from Philippine Science High School and Ateneo. Nagmatter ba siya or do you think inevitable na napunta ka dyan sa kung nasaan ka?
Where do I start? Nagmatter ba yung science and technology education? I think all types of education, not just the science and technology, but even the struggles and tribulations of simply existing from the Philippines side na parang maraming learnings, not just the science and technology angle, but of course everything relates to where I am now. So yes, it does matter, but more.
Yung science orientation ba yung nagdala sa'yo to Erasmus?
I don't think so. Not just. Yes, of course, they matter a lot. And para sa Erasmus kasi, since it's higher education, so may value yung studies. If you're with honors, awards na nakuha mo previously, since it's an academic next step, diba? So it does matter. Pero I think what separated me from the others is meron din akong entrepreneurial side. Meron akong dessert business sa Ateneo dun sa final year ko. So we won this business competition, then we got the slot for a cafeteria. Tapos noon, meron pa akong milk tea business after while working sa Samsung sa Claret, and then eventually finranchise ko.
Ano pangalan? Baka na-try ko. Or malamang hindi?
Most likely hindi. Teammate.
Simula ba bata ka? Like 5 years old ka ba? Sagot mo ba? Tatanong na, what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be a businessman? May ganun bang inborn?
No. Ang sagot ko doon is, I want to be the president of the Philippines.
Malay mo in the future.
Oo, yun talaga.
Okay. So tatakbo ka ba? Or may plano ka ba? Andito na sa podcast na tayo yung unang.
Malayo pa yung 2022 eh. Hindi ko nasasagutin yan. Not sure. Hindi ko alam.
Pero like public office? Or like you'll take any opportunity to bring service? And in a public way ba or in a private way like FoPo?
I mean, right now with the NGO, how do you consider that? It's also public-ish way of serving people. I think I'm open to anything.
Okay. Magandang metric ba do you think yung like people or PSI graduates who get scholarships or admissions to colleges abroad? Or do you think dapat bang magstay sa Pilipinas yung scientists and engineers? What's your take on that?
Okay. Well, kung yung issue lang naman is them taking up higher education abroad, I think that's great. I think in terms of knowledge and gathering and expanding knowledge, learning, wala namang masama na mag-aral abroad. If it is a major metric na kailangan nating tingnan or to measure success, maybe that's something different. But I think there's also value in, if we are also measuring that, we should also measure those people na going back or actually helping the country. I mean, there's the Balik Scientist program and there's a lot of returnees na hindi ko alam kung ano yung ginawa nila, but I'm quite sure there's a lot of them who are actually coming back and also bringing in more jobs and opportunities back home. And if we can have a longer term study on this, like what's their impact, then maybe that can actually be a better case to make it a metric. Pero kung titingnan lang natin yun at that metric, why not? Dun sa pag-study abroad. Kasi we're not just studying in the Philippines, like the world is bigger than the Philippines. And science and technology, there's a lot really to be learned outside.
Okay, so 2 questions. First question, ito ba yung reason mo kung bakit you brought FoPo sa Philippines? And second question, do you think kung nagstay ka sa Philippines or like hindi ka nag-Erasmus, you will also be able to think of this idea? FoPo.
Dun sa first question mo, yes. There's this hunger to go back home or to do something back home. Kasi it's something na once makita mo yung opportunities dito, they have their own way of thinking and way of doing business. And then you connect it with your experiences back home. So there's always that hunger na parang maybe there's actually opportunity to do this and then work it like that.
Nung umalis ka ba to Erasmus, nasa plano mo ba to bring back whatever you learned to the Philippines?
Search mo yan. Nasa Rappler interview ko yan bago ko lumipad. Kasi they interviewed Erasmus Masters. Tapos, meron tatanong sa akin, so what's your plan after studying the Masters? Sabi ko, really to come back to the Philippines and start a business and potentially create a new market or industry. Kasi we're just selling, we already have big agricultural products that we are selling and we're very popular worldwide, like coconuts and mangoes. What else can we do in terms of food innovation that can elevate and create higher value products from the Philippines? So that has always been my goal, even before flying.
Okay. Do you think may isip mo yung same idea of FoPo kung nag-stay ka sa Philippines?
I don't think so. Kasi actually, merong concept dito, dumpster diving. Alam mo ba yung dumpster diving?
Hindi ko sure.
Yung girlfriend ko, part siya ng dumpster diving group. Parang ino-open mo yung basura ng mga retailers, ng mga groceries. Tapos lahat ng mga expired food, yun yung pinipick up namin. The first time na nakita ko to as an opportunity, kasi nakakuha ko ng sushi, na fresh na sushi. Tapos kinain ko pa siya after. And okay naman ako. Okay naman siya. Pwede mo siyang kainin. Ang dami lang talagang tinatapon since those are the rules. So we're all governed by those rules and specifications na if ever we think more about it, actually they're very, very strict and they actually promote food waste, and maybe we can save more food from being wasted, get the value out of it, or feed more people.
Good point yun yung like, how do you find disruption? You disrupt by thinking, ano ba yung nahihinder ng regulations, and then you start out from there. I think yun yung main idea. Yun yung nagdala ng Eureka idea. Pero question is, so kung nagstay ka ba sa...
So kung nagstay ako sa Pilipinas, I don't think hindi ako magkakalkal ng basura ng internet for sure. Siguro may inspire ako dun sa pagpag concept, pero hindi siya magiging main trigger point. Though I think being abroad opens you up to more opportunities and more ideas nga on potential market then. So like what we were doing, nagko-collect kami from agriculture countries or production countries, and then we sell it initially sa Germany, but ultimately we still want to sell it internationally, but nandito yung market right now. So knowing that there's a market out there and seeing that there's a market is really a big thing na I don't think mas makakonceptualize ko siya pag nasa Pilipinas na ako.
Pero you think naman na kung nag-stay ka sa Pilipinas, other kind of idea, other kind of advocacy, other kind of science yung gagawin mo?
Feeling ko pag nag-stay ako sa Pilipinas, mag-artista talaga.
nawalan tayo ng isang scientist, nawalan tayo ng isang social entrepreneur. Pero pwede mo na pagsabayin.
Yes. Sana maging sikat to at makapasok ako sa PBB.
Okay,
Mr. M, ano ka ba?
if ever invite ka, papasok ka ng BBB.
Oo naman.
Anong moniker?
Ano ba? Kaya, chemist hottie. Sure.
Okay, challenges. Ano yung naging main challenges ng FoPo and why hiatus ang FoPo ngayon?
Challenges, when hindi kami naka-raise ng next round of funding. So, balak namin mag-merge with another startup who's also working on food powder. We've been in negotiations back and forth and in different negotiations together with our angel investors tsaka ng corporate investor namin. The deal was eventually getting there, tapos in the end, since it was taking time, the last nail was really the pandemic. Parang okay, tapos na talaga. Like, there's really no chance. Marami ding nangyari dun sa other partner startup. Kaya hindi namin na-merge ng maayos. Kasi umalis din siya and then nalipat sa ibang tao. Like, there's a lot of other external stuff that happened. But ultimately, it's a great learning experience. It really taught me a lot of things, not just from the business side, everything, networking, exploring Europe, and talking to high-profile people.
Like who?
Like Jerry of Ben & Jerry's. He helped us in our Kickstarter campaign, for example. Mga director of innovations ng mga big companies, parang super high level nila na kapag employee ka, it would really be a big privilege to even have an audience with them. But there, you are talking to them directly as like dealing with them as a business person. So parang ibang level talaga yung experience and preparation. And yeah, it's really good in general.
Do you think it's game-changing sa takbo ng entrepreneurship career mo?
It's a good base for other future ventures. At the end of the day, we only need one big success in life. We can try and fail, but we just need one, and then the rest will happen.
Okay, so what can you advise sa ibang tao na nung 5 years old sila, ang sagot nila sa tanong na anong gusto mo paglaki ay maging presidente, or like college students na thinking like, how do I start a social entrepreneur thing, or how do I start something? What's your general advice, general message?
I think just do it. Yun lang talaga. Parang wala kang matututunan pa. Like there's a limit to how much you can learn sa school, and there's a million things to learn more in real life that you will really never ever get the chance to learn from school. So while studying, and if business talaga yung gusto nila, then just really do it. I mean, there's a lot of testing opportunities for way cheaper now, particularly now than ever. It's just a matter of finding that opportunity. But even if it's as easy as buying and selling products, a lot of learning will come into, how you negotiate and doing sales and business and finding business opportunities and partnership. Well, matututunan mo siya with case studies, but at the end of the day, it's how you really work with what's at hand.
Thank you very much, live from London. Thank you, Gerald Marin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck sa podcast.